gamuchirai zvitsva.
Zimbabwe has been in a political hierarchy. There's been a lot of politics happening in this country and less of business and direction. Now the dust has been raised on the political scene over the wrong things. The people of Zimbabwe are in 6s and 7s, fighting each other in a polarized society. But it is time for Zimbabweans to find each other and to build a better nation. This year, the Free Talk in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. I, your host, as usual, Dhara B, bring you the issues that matter. Allow us to discuss them and digest them. I'll be bringing political players, business leaders, and the ordinary people on the street to talk about Zimbabwe's political future, its people, and the business. Now, this is the Free Talk. Join me just after this break as we get into dialogue. Welcome back to this, the Free Talk in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. And I, your host as usual, Dhara B. Now this week, we are going to be talking about the politics, the people, and the future. And help me discuss about this, joining me in studio is the president of LEAD, Linda Tsungirai, and she will be talking to me about her views on the political landscape in this country, the business, and what the people of this country ought to do. Now, welcome and thank you very much for joining me, Madam President of the People Party.
You're welcome, Blessed. Did you conveniently leave out my surname or what?
I conveniently left it out because we are basically on a first name basis, but I'm Masari, Linda Tsungira Masari, and I'm in conversation with Linda. And now, Madam President, you wanted to be on the ballot in the 2023 general elections, and you were removed from the ballot, or you failed to get on the ballot. Now we are looking into 2028 general elections. What are you doing to ensure that you don't miss the boat this time around?
What we are doing is to ensure that we push for electoral reforms. This is a topic that most opposition parties have ignored soon after elections. And most of the times we have tried to push these electoral reforms towards elections. But this time around, I'm happy that we have managed to converge as different political parties and say we need to deal with the issue of electoral reforms now and not a year before elections or months before elections. Because as we are sitting here, we've got a lot of pending issues that we actually took to the courts way before the proclamation of 2023 elections. And those matters have not been settled, they've not been had, which is also a cause of concern on whether or not our courts in Zimbabwe are sincere to do with issues to do with electoral reforms. From my perspective as a feminist, I believe that there is no democracy without women. And whatever government we've had since the 2013 constitution is not constitutional, because Section 17 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe expressly states about gender equality and all organs of the state to adhere to the aspect of equality. We also look at Section 56 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. It speaks of non-discrimination. But when you look at the intra-party politics that is playing out in most political parties, women continue to be elbowed out, they're victims of sexual harassment, and these are issues that when women speak about, they are labeled that they want to go against their presidents. In most instances, they're men, and that they're not being loyal. So all these other issues can only be dealt with constitutionally. We have to approach the courts. We need to push for gender equality to become a reality in this country. I'm against this notion of people saying that democracy is along lines of populism. Democracy is multifaceted. Zimbabwe is a constitutional democracy. If we're going to be looking at the aspect of populism minus the constitution, I think we're doing a great injustice to the tenets of democracy, because democracy is also constitutionally enshrined. And any aspect of democracy should actually be considered as we speak about the non-democratic situations that we find ourselves in as a country. But unfortunately, we also have a political economy that does not view the constitution is an important aspect of politics. But they should be reminded that Zimbabwe is a constitutional democracy, and everything that we do is guided by the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which is the supreme law in this country. So any practice, any act, any custom that is against the Constitution of this country is invalid, and that is enshrined in Section 2 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So we've got a lot to do in terms of electoral reforms, ensuring total constitutionalism in this country. And those are the things that I had heart. For me, pre-2028 elections, we are going to be pushing for constitutionalism. We're going to be pushing for electoral reforms. We need to replace the Westminster first past the post electoral system that we are using to elect MPs and councillors, and adopt the proportional representation zebra list electoral system, which we are using to select senators. If you look at our senators, there's a near balance of genders, save for the fact that we've got the chiefs that then come in, and we hardly have any women chiefs in this country. So what is really appalling is we already using the PR zebra list to elect senators, but then there's a lot of politicking that comes around having an electoral reform to move over this hybrid system we adopted from the Smith regime and bring in the PR zebra list, which will ensure that Section 17 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe is respected. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we need to stop the politicking and put our constitution first as supreme law of this country.
Amazing. You speak about electoral reforms, and how do you hope to achieve these electoral reforms, Madam Linda?
Why I spoke so much about the constitution is we do have a constitutional court in this country, and we've been recording all the constitutional violations that are contradicting the electoral laws. Rather, the electoral laws are contradicting the constitution, because the constitution is supreme law. So we are trying now to make sure that we litigate. We go to the Constitutional Court and say these issues are actually, the Electoral Act, the electoral laws are contradicting the supreme law of this land. I think you've had a lot of people speaking about laws not being aligned to the Constitution of Zimbabwe, because these things are supposed to happen automatically. This constitution is no longer new. We can't continue saying the new constitution 11 years after. We just need the proper things to be done. We've got the Attorney General's office, we've got the judges, we've got a whole judicial system in place, but yet we are still crying foul about electoral laws not being aligned to the Constitution.
But do you think that the courts are the best place to deliver these electoral reforms that you talk about? Is this not something that has to play out in Parliament or on the political platforms?
One of the biggest tragedies that we have with our Parliament is it is still very Eurocentric in nature. The whipping system in Parliament does not allow for an MP to even come in with their own concern, even if they feel that this is a valid concern. Because there's always the chief whip who whip them into line, the party line, and what the party wants. That is one of the negatives of a whipping system in parliament. So we might take these reforms to parliament, and ZANU-PF already having two-thirds majority in parliament, we are not going to have these reforms sail through. Yes, we are going to take the reforms to parliament first, but chances that the reforms will actually get an audience or even be passed in parliament are very slim. The only alternative that we have that can bring us the fairness that we need is the Constitutional Court. If the Constitutional Court doesn't give us what we want, we're going to have no choice but to go back to the people. The people are the majority. Have a petition, have millions of signatures, and go back to the Constitutional Court and say the people of Zimbabwe have spoken.
There are concerns that the judiciary has been captured. Do you buy into those?
There's a lot that is happening in this country, and I don't feel that the judiciary is being fair. There's a lot of lawfare. I cannot agree on the judiciary being captured because I don't know how it has been captured. Mm-hmm. I'm one person who does not want to throw around words, because I might say right now that the judiciary is captured, and I'm asked to prove how it has been captured. Mm-hmm. And I do not have any proof whatsoever to say it has been captured in such a manner. But I believe that a lot of lawfare is being used on political opponents by our judiciary. That I can stand with, because I've been a victim of lawfare. After I took my matter to the electoral court, my matter was told. It was only heard the day before nomination court was closing, and the day we thought that we were going to be debating my issue in court, we were just told that the case has been dismissed with cause. We struggled to even get the full judgment, and I could not appeal. So from my end, it was lawfare that was used against me, a political opponent, because I was not even afforded justice by our courts. So at the end of the day...
So with such a judiciary that has been weaponized against you, you still have hope that electoral reforms can come from such men and women of the bench, who you have evidence, as you are putting it before us, that they stole you, they did a whole lot of things to the extent that you even failed to appeal.
That is why I said, I thought I gave you a process, that we're going to go to parliament, but we've got no hope at all in parliament. But that is the procedure. And if they're not going to give us what we want, we're going to go to the Constitutional Court. That is the procedure. And if we do not get the judgment that we want, if we do not get this PR system that we want, we are left with no choice but to go to the people, to explain with them why the Westminster first past the post system has not been working in our favor, and get their signatures. When the people speak, they'll be forced to listen. We are going to end up going that route, because we would have exercised all the processes that we're supposed to exercise. And if we do not get the result that we want, we have to include the majority, and they cannot go against the people of this country.
Do you think that those in power listen to the majority?
They are going to be forced to. We cannot think on their behalf. We have never tried this before. So let's try it and see if they're going to listen or they're not going to listen.
In your opening remarks, Madam President, you said to us here that there are things that are in the Constitution that are being violated by the electoral law. Mm-hmm. And the Constitution is the voice of the majority, is it not?
It is.
But those in power have ignored it and continued in your submission to use electoral laws that are in violation of the Constitution.
Whoever in power always take advantage of the ignorance of the majority. So it is our responsibility to ensure that the majority know exactly what the law stipulates. And when the majority is now woke, we will be able to get what we want, because the majority can now pinpoint. Because there is no criminality in saying Section 17 of the Constitution is saying this, and the state is obligated to ensure that this happens, because you're now speaking at a position of knowledge. It is different from standing in the street and saying, government, because you're just hailing insults. But when we have people understanding and knowing the particular sections they're going to have to direct, there's no one who will even be arrested for demanding their constitutional right, which is enshrined in the Constitution of this country. That is where we need to gravitate towards. It is unfortunate that the politics we've been doing in this country for a very long time was not informed on the legalities that are already there. Because most people do not even have an appreciation of the Constitution itself. I'll tell you, I think more than 3/4 of Zimbabweans have not even seen the constitution, the physical copy of it, or know what it looks like. Plenty of people have got cell phones, but if you look at their phones, they do not even have the soft copy of the constitution.
I'll just point this to you that the constitution is very clear in terms of bail as a right.
Mm-hmm.
And Job Sikala is a lawyer and has had enough learned colleagues around him
Mm-hmm.
who were prosecuting that point. But he still was denied bail for close to 2 years. Do you think that the people who would deny bail...
I think when we talk about Job Sikala's issue, when I went through it as well, there was also the issue that at one time he absconded going to court. And that is the reason why they were now denying him bail.
No, he didn't abscond.
I'm not sure about that, but there was an issue of a time he did not go to court. I was also a victim of something similar in 2016, where I had not also appeared in court, but even though my lawyers had gone to court and told them that I was not feeling well, the state said because she did not appear in court, we will not give her bail because we are afraid that she's going to run away. It took 3 months for the state to eventually grant me that bail through a high court application that was done by Advocate Andrew Ngoni. The law is at the end of the day. They've got their own way that they do things. That is why I'm also one of the advocates in this country who's saying, do we really have to follow these legal systems that we adopted from the Smith regime? I still feel they are oppressive, repressive, and suppressive because there were no amendments that were done whatsoever in the legal systems that we use in this country. Every system, to be precise, whether it's the governance system, the judiciary system, the education system, you name it, a lot still needs to be done for us to have Afrocentric systems that relates to our own particular peculiar situation as Zimbabweans. As it stands, the legal system itself is very anti-people. That is why right now we are even having people being displaced from their own homes because they are using laws that were left during the Smith regime. How can you start saying mafuro emombe? So mombe are more important kufura vanhu zina pekugara. People have gone to...
Why would you accuse the laws that were left by Ian Smith some 44 years after independence, and where people like Tendai Biti, I know Tendai Biti actually went to court to challenge that particular piece of legislation that you talk about, and the government defended it.
That is why I said we need legal reforms. I'm not even supporting...
Is it about legal reforms or it's about change of leadership? Because the leadership that is there is defending those laws.
I will give you an example. During the GNU, the Minister of Labour was actually a minister from the opposition. We had a lot of challenges at the NRZ, and they still proceeded to give us a show cause order when we had gone for more than a year without being given a salary. And up to today, when I asked the then minister why she did that, she said, I was following the laws. So at the end of the day, what we need are legal reforms. Because even if you put new leadership today and the laws still remain in place and that new leadership is not moved to ensure that there are legal reforms, we'll continue crying about the same issues.
Is it not the role of the leadership after taking power 44 years ago to have changed those laws?
They didn't. That is why I'm raising the issue. They have failed.
Are you afraid of this leadership?
Why should I be afraid of it?
Because you insist that it's not their responsibility. It's
the
law.
How did I say it's not their responsibility?
You said it's the law.
I am on a record, blessed, saying the current leadership and the previous leadership have actually derailed the gains of the liberation struggle. They were supposed to deal with these reforms when they attained power. But when you speak to some of them, they'll tell you that then during the transition system, we are still working with the white people. There are a lot of deals that they also did during the Lancaster House period. And then, but still, after that period elapsed, what did they do? They were now busy in focusing on primitive accumulation of power. We go into the GNU era as well. We thought that those who got in would ensure that we do these reforms. The reforms were not done. The only thing that they came out with was the Constitution, and we applaud them for it. But still, after the Constitution, if we go into the Hansard documents, we have not seen anyone from the opposition pushing for legal reforms. And that is a reality. We have not seen anyone from the opposition pushing for a governance system reform. We have not seen that. We have seen people pushing petty issues, ignoring the important fundamentals that will actually make us a better country with reforms that resonate with the native Zimbabwean, with the ordinary Zimbabwean. People have been voting for MPs and councillors from 1980, but they've never benefited anything from their vote. In short, they've just been an avenue for a few political elite individuals to get into power, get money, and accumulate whatever they want to accumulate. And that is the reality. The voter has always been the loser.
So when you say no opposition MPs have pushed for legal reforms, are you saying Tendai Biti, Innocent Gonese, Job Scala are not MPs from the opposition? Because I know Tendai Biti
we cannot say if you go and push one issue, you have pushed for legal reforms. You have pushed for a particular issue. When you're speaking of legal reforms, you're speaking of a wholesome thing, right? We've got a lot of issues that are not proper in our legal systems. So if we want things to change, we cannot do it in bits and pieces.
But then they pushed for the constitution to be changed. Was that not legal reform?
No, that was a reform.
Yes.
But
they pushed, Innocent Gonese pushed for private members' bill on electoral reforms. Was that not a reform?
Is it working? Is it working?
No, you said no one pushed. You didn't say, I'm asking you on your statement.
Yes, and I answered you and said, we need wholesome legal reforms.
But it is therefore not true that no opposition MP has pushed for reforms.
Those are not reforms. Those are issues, blessed. Be clear about this. Tendai Biti went and pushed for the age of marriage to be pushed to 18 years. Those are not legal reforms. Okay. When we're speaking of reforms, we want reforms that are wholesome. That was an instrument that was changed. A statute that was changed.
But that is a law.
Yes. It is a statute that was changed.
Maybe you need to be clear what you mean when you say legal reforms.
When I speak of legal reforms, I'm speaking about changing the whole legal system.
The constitution was changed. That's a whole legal system.
But were the acts changed? Yes or no? Were the acts changed?
They are being changed, aren't they?
11 years after. 11 years after the constitution. And you sit there and boldly say they are being changed. What has been the parliament doing since 2013 to date? When we still have laws that are contradictory. And there are plenty. We cannot say parliament has been working, has been fully functional since 2013. Now we're in 2024, when we still have a lot of electoral, not just electoral, when we still have a lot of acts that are not aligned to the constitution, of which this was supposed to happen automatically. And we have a whole Attorney General's office, we have a whole legal ministry in this country, and we have had Parliament sitting since 2013, and yet we are still saying it's happening at a snail's pace, at the expense of the ordinary Zimbabwe.
And who do you hold accountable for that?
Everyone. The Parliament, the President of this country, the judiciary, the Attorney General's office, and even the ordinary Zimbabwean, because we are also not pushing enough.
Let's talk about the political space in this country. Is the political space in this country, open to ensure that we can actually push for these changes that you're talking about?
Our political space is a bit closed. And it takes a lot of guts for one to be able to say, I'm going to go to this court, I'm going to make sure that we push for these things that we want. One thing that a lot of people have never had an appreciation of is that there are also political gangs within our political economy. And these political gangs are also intertwined with the opposition and the ruling party, the opposition and the ruling party, to the extent that sometimes you want to push for a certain thing to move, you find that no one will actually go on your side. Because one person is thinking, no, if this law remains in place, it will benefit me at a particular time. I'll give you an example of the excessive presidential powers that we have in our constitution. During the COPAC process, all the parties that actually drafted the constitution agreed to those superpowers. Because some of the things that are in that constitution are absurd. And today you hear people cry, there are too many powers that were granted of the president. Why are things like this? But the people also sit in these COPAC meetings agreeing to some of these things.
You say they are gangs, but is politics not about numbers? That you, as president of your own political party, you should have the numbers of people that support you so that you are able to push these ideas forward.
You see, this numbers thing is a statement that has been abused so much by Zimbabweans. Because when we look at what other countries do with their politics is usually issue-based. They look at the issues. Which political party is resonating?
But this
you asked me a question and let me answer.
But these issues must have numbers, shouldn't they? Yes, I want you to answer. I want you to answer, but these issues must have numbers, shouldn't they?
I have not even answered what I'm answering. So if you want to answer yourself, I can leave you to answer yourself. Because you're going to confuse my thought process. Because I'm coming from somewhere, getting to what you want.
I'm asking you to answer, not to what I want.
No.
Yes.
I'm answering exactly what you want me to answer.
Okay.
I'm saying the issue-based politics is what happens in other countries. In this country, a person can go and vote for a person with numbers who's not resonating with their issue. Because kune chawunga. I want to give you an example of UK right now. They've changed prime ministers, I think, 4 times. It's not an issue about a personality or numbers. It's an issue about, is this particular prime minister representing the issues that are affecting the people who voted for this particular party? That is what we do not have in this country. Even if Blessed is the next best man in the certain political party, Blessed will be dumped because he's not the popular person.
But isn't politics about...
Our politics is the politics of personalities.
No, Madam Linda.
I am being clear about what I'm saying, Blessed. You cannot take this away from me. Politics should never be about personalities.
No, we're talking about numbers. You've just
the numbers should follow issues. That is what you try to cut me. Politics follow my issues. Quite a personality. Ndikakupa example ye politics yeku Britain. It follows issues and institutions. World over, politics follow institutions and the issues. Zimbabwe do not follow a personality, which is wrong.
But if that person is popular, because politics is politics not about numbers.
Then you deserve the leaders that you have.
No, I'm asking you a simple question. So you would want to raise one morning because you have issues and become a president with 0 votes. Is that what you're saying?
Hillary Clinton won the election in America by 2.3 million votes in 2020? 2019, I don't remember. And Donald Trump then won the election with a few hundred votes of the Electoral College. There's nothing fair in politics in this world.
I'm not asking about fairness. I'm asking you if you would want to wake up as president with no support base whatsoever, but because you have issues. Is that what you're talking about?
There's no political leader that does not have a support base. There's no leader that does not have a support base.
When you go to a polling station and you have 0 votes, that shows you have no support base, doesn't it?
That is what you think. But there are a lot of extenuating factors. There are plenty of them.
Let's discuss them.
Like I told you, the politics in this country follows a personality and not issues. You might try to run away from this, but I'll still come back and say we deserve the potholed roads, the roads with no lights, the poor service delivery, no water, because when we want to speak about these issues, people will run back to personalities.
Why don't you
create
that personality yourself that the people can now rally on and then say, okay, and then we say, this is Linda Masarira's personality and people are rallying with it. Why can't you do that?
You see, you want to draw me to talk about what I don't want to talk about. Right. Kune who abuse certain circumstances to gain support. And when they abuse those certain circumstances, they make themselves an alpha or omega like character. Ndakasiwa naningi, akasiya nditindini. Ndosaka ndikudzokera kuya Kwandakuudza kuti our politics should follow an issue. Kwete kuti ndakasiya ndazodzwa kuti ndasara ndichitungamira. This is the scenario we have in this country.
So are you saying
Are
you saying the president of this country is running this country based on that he was left by someone?
Avo vatori nehierarchy ravo manje kupati kwavo vanotanga kuti vanhu vanga vari pamagagawo declaration vakazobva kumagagawo vanga vari kulancaster vatori nehierarchy vanoziva na leadership yavo kuti nhingi akabva kuchauya nhingi akabva kuchauya nhingi kwavo kutori structured vatori netoro dzavo dzavainadzo. That's why ndiri kudzokera ndichitaura kuti nyaya yemapersonality ichatinetsa mukati menyika ino whether kuopposition kana kuZANU-PF because kuZANU-PF vatoriwo neproblem iyoyo yekuti iri nguva yangu yako ichasvika. So you'll find kuti even kuZANU the younger people are closed out totally because vanenge vachitokudzwa kuti kune order iri kuendwa iwe wakagara meeting yekwakati kana usati wagara chimbomira. No matter how good you are, we've got no room for meritocracy in this country.
So you're saying that the voters in this country don't understand. They will vote for people who don't understand their issues just because of their personalities. That's what you say?
Bunomo mune inonzi guided voting. In Zimbabwe mune inonzi guided democracy. There's no real democracy in this country. People are coerced to think in a particular manner.
By who?
By whoever is doing the agenda setting. Normative leverage is the order of the day in our political economy in this country. A person anomuka kalebliwa, so long as I agree on munhu. I'll give you a perfect example. I've been labeled a CIO, I've been labeled a ZANU-PF person because I do not agree with Chamisa. Anyone who has not agreed with Chamisa since 2018 is labeled ZANU-PF. Biti chaya waijigedza dana yaita marali zo zvako nzi ZANU-PF CIO. Wende chaya kunzi ZANU-PF CIO just because I agree naye. That is wrong.
But you have also labeled people, haven't you?
Who have I labeled as ZANU-PF for a CIO?
No, I didn't say.
Who have I labeled as ZANU-PF for a CIO?
I said you have labeled people.
How?
Haven't you?
Give me an example.
And I'm asking you.
Give me an example.
You have labeled the opposition as agents of the United States of America.
They
government.
are. They are. And that remains.
So you are a CIO.
It's not labeling.
So you are a CIO.
Labeling.
Is it not
fair? Kana vanhu vachienda kunopiwa mari nevarungu kuti vaite agenda setting against a country. They are agents of that. And we can never run away from that.
And have you ever produced, okay, maybe just for the benefit of our viewers, can you just name that this person went to meet this person on this particular day and got money to set an agenda against this country?
Kunokumbira sanctions chaiyo was an agenda against Zimbabwe. And that is not a secret. And that is not a secret. We can go and take Matepsa na Mutambara vachitaura about how they did it. They agree kuti they went vakanokumbira sanctions.
So you are saying ZANU-PF is an agent of the West?
They can be. Rather, in Kwandiri, when I talk of weight,
yes.
ZANU-PF actually sold out to Lancaster House Conference. And that is not a secret. They still have to come clean on how they sold out way before 1980.
So all of the Zimbabweans are agents of the West, except yourself?
I don't know.
Because you said ZANU-PF is the opposition.
I'm anti the West. It's not a secret. I am anti-donor funding, not only for Zimbabwe, but for the rest of Africa. Africa is not progressing because of the West. And my mindset will never change on that. That is my position. That is our foreign policies, Labour economists and African Democrats. We are clear about the issue of foreign funding on how retrogressive it is for Zimbabwe.
Do you think, Madam Linda Masarira, that you are being fair to yourself and to the people that would want to support you as a political leader when you can just boldly accuse people of receiving money from the West to send an agenda and you label them? And then on the other hand,
I do not boldly accuse. I am talking about what I know. Create a platform for me, bring them here, and then we have that conversation.
No, you can actually just present evidence without them being there.
I want them to answer for themselves. Create that platform, bring them here, and then I will remind them with pakati woramba straight from the cameras. Don't try to pick me as a person who's casting aspersions on things that did not happen. I want the people there, bring them, Ngoni ndovaudzwa kuti musi wakati kumba kwako yaseneta ningi kumba kwako musi wakati kwako yaningi woramba live on camera varamba tozovaunzira evidence kuti izvi.
But you can just still produce
no,
that evidence.
I will
in
not
their
do
absence.
that.
Why,
it is not my
not?
business. Why should I speak about a person in their absence?
They will hear you. You
No,
are on a public
people.
platform. You are on a public platform. This is not a secret.
I want them when they are there, so that they can prove to the world that they've also been lying to the world.
There's
Why is it imi moda kuramba kuunza vanhu vacho for a debate neni ndakagara pano ivo vari apa? What you want is to portray me as Linda who creates narratives that are non-existent. I want a platform with Nelson Chamisa, with Tendai Biti, with Job Zikala. Moba isa portrait a conversation.
So these names that you have just stated are the names of people who have been receiving funding to tarnish the image of this country. Is that a
platform?
If we invite them, I want them to know what they're coming for. So I'm asking you this question so that I know what I'm inviting them for. Are these the names?
I have been making wild accusations.
Yes.
So I said, can I have these people on a platform to debate tese totangira kumashure kubva naRoy Bennett vachiri kuenda kutora mari vachiuya vachivapa and everything. We start from when MDC was formed to today. Tonatofamba kuti mari yanga iri kubva kupi, what was the agenda? Because when I speak ndakatoona kuti some people have got this in court kuti Linda ari kunyepa, we have to label her kunzoko as a liar. You've got this portrayal yamoda kundiisa kuvanhu. Saka inini, I'm not going to have this conversation in one. I want to have this conversation on varipo. Even it's unfortunate Dr. Thokozani Kupe is not feeling well. Dr. Thokozani Kupe varipo foot. We need to have this conversation so that the truth will be known to every Zimbabwean on what has aspired since MDC was formed to date, Nekwaiva funding, and what was the agenda of the funding. I will not continue to sit silently and allow people like you to say I've been lying. I want those people on a panel, and I want them to answer for themselves, because I've got everything on record.
Where were you when you were recording this, Madam Linda?
Where I was, I sing. You know what is on. We want to give Zimbabweans the truth. Bring these people for me. Twitter conversation yacho voramba live vamberi pavanhu vese mochizoenda kumberi mochienda munoti Linda masarira anonyepa varamba tapedzerana pano live vamberi munhu wese achizvipindurira chinhu zvake. You have had a somewhat tumultuous relationship with a number of people, especially on social media, where there's been exchange of unpleasantries, words and stuff like that. Do you think that this holds well for the office of a president, Madam Linda? Let me tell you something. If you give me oranges, I'll give you oranges. If you throw lemons to me, I'll throw lemons at you. There's this general disrespect of women in this country. And everyone is just thought we can just say whatever we want to Linda and she'll keep quiet. This woman doesn't keep quiet. I'm a Roji. Rojis fight for their space. No one will silence me. They have silenced Wakadzi. We're saying politics. Do you know? It is said that most women in politics are even afraid of speaking out because no one has got a monopoly of insulting people or saying whatever they want on anyone. In any whatever you throw my way is what you receive.
Is that the hallmark of leadership, Madam?
So the hallmark of leadership is being abused and smile and say thank you for abusing me.
I'm asking you.
Is that the hallmark of leadership?
You are a leader. I'm not. So I'm asking you. Is that the hallmark of leadership, Madam Masarida? If you are going to lead a nation and people insult you, you're going to insult them back.
Have you ever seen me insulting everyone back? Only those who think that they've got a moral right to say things that are derogatory to me are the ones that I answer back. But most of the people say whatever they want on a daily basis, 24/7, and you see me answering them. I don't. But that's how I operate. At least I respond to you. Others kill, I don't.
When you say others kill, can you explain? Can you explain?
There's nothing to explain, but globally, other leaders kill other people.
You just about 2 months ago, you put out a tweet that you had some beef with Nelson Chamisa. Can you let us in on that?
Can you read that tweet? Not in Dandine beef name.
You let me just check it. Unfortunately, my internet. I was just trying to check on it, and my internet just went off. But you said that he
Because
must
I've
come
never
out,
written
he must
anything
come
like that.
out clean on something, and that if he doesn't, chapedzerana. That's what you actually wrote.
I said, read it out. I can't answer on what I don't understand.
I had it here, and it's just gone. But I'm sure you know that we don't.
No, we'll respond on it when you read it. I tweet a lot of things, so I won't definitely.
Do you have any grudges with Nelson Chamisa?
I don't have any grudge with him. Why should I have any grudge with him?
You have come out strongly against him all the times, mostly all the times. Even just in this interview, you actually mentioned him as one of the people that received foreign funding to destabilize this country.
Are you trying to say that Chamisa should not be criticized?
I didn't say criticized. I said you have come out strongly against him.
Am I not allowed to come out strongly against him?
You have not done so against other political leaders. For instance, Valerio.
What has Valerio done in Zimbabwe? That I should come out strongly against her.
She has come out and put her credentials to lead this country.
What has she done wrong? She's got a constitution, she's got structures, she's not lying to the people. So why should I come out strongly against her?
Why should another political party's constitution worry you? The lack of it or not having it?
Zimbabwe is a constitutional democracy.
Yes.
You cannot lead a constitutional democracy without your own intra-party constitutional processes in your political party.
Where is it written, Madam Linda Masalila?
It is actually a political, what can I say? If a country is guided by a constitution and you do not follow a constitution in your own party, what guarantee do we have that you'll be able to follow the constitution when you run the country?
Where is it written, Madam Linda Masalila?
Is everything supposed to be written?
That a political party
Is everything supposed to be written?
No, the country has laws. Where is it written in the country's laws that a political party must have a constitution?
There is no organization that can run without law and order. That is why Chakamwa Shuka. There was no law, there was no constitution, there was no order. That's why Chakamwa Shuka. I was only trying to guide him. Why would you
want to guide someone who you...
I'll guide him as my brother. Beyond these political spaces, blessed. Chamisa is a brother, is a friend. Tikasangana, tinotongwa doro tese, tigomwa drinki tese. That's me and Nelson Chamisa. People like you try to create a artificial enmity against us. You try to create a narrative yoti Linda akavenga Chamisa natobomuyengai. Ko book launch ratenda ibiti tese pasapeza. Tikatopedza enda kuita zvandikuita takatotuma magadza kwenishedzerewo Linda tikatotaura. We discussed about 2023 elections. We are not enemies. Get that right. We do not even hate each other. But when he is wrong, I will remind him that he is wrong because then
So if you guys talk to each other in that relationship that you talk about, why do you have to take to Twitter to give him advice?
Do not tell Pandoda. Who are you to tell me where I should give him advice? I give him Pandoda. I use whatever platform that I want. Beyond him being a brother, to me, is also a political opponent. I did not form a party, Labour Economists and African Democrats, to support ZANU-PF, to support Chamisa's party, to support Ameno and Valerio or whatever. I have also formed it to attain power. And everyone who's not in lead is an opponent. And I do not have any mandate whatsoever to buttress any other political party. Get that right.
And therefore you will attain this by being militant and insulting others?
That's who I am. I'm a militant person and I've never insulted anyone. Take that back. I have never insulted anyone. If you insist I insulted anyone, I want you to show me the tweet I have insulted anyone. I always make sure that I confess in a dignified manner.
Shimono has alleged that you have insulted him.
Where? Social media.
When he responded to you, I think one of those tweets that he then responded to you to say go and bath, you had insulted him, had you not?
Where? Are you
denying that you insulted?
I do not insult anyone, and I never insulted him. I don't insult anyone. If you are wrong, do not go in a dignified language. I was not brought up to insult anyone. I no longer fight people since 2017. But insult, that ain't me. I just speak bitter truths that people are uncomfortable with.
At one point you came out, Madam President, accusing people of faking abductions. And on one of those, you're actually on my show when you said people are faking abductions. When people were disappeared, they came out beaten, and some of them, like Harare, came up with nails in his body. Does it sit well with you when you say those things to people who would actually probably have suffered abductions?
On the issue to do with abductions, I think I came to a conclusion where I said I no longer want to discuss those. Until such a time that everyone is ready for us to call some of the people who are involved in these things. Some of these things happen at intra-party level, blessed. There are a lot of shenanigans that happens in political parties. I told you they're gangs. Some even go and approach even the CIO, MID, with please can you assassinate Ningi? What was the Politics is dirty.
Are you saying that the CIO and the MID are open to assist people in having assassinations?
There are people that have gone. It is not my space to speak about this because some people would have confided in me. Would something like this happened? There's a lot that happens, especially in my opposition circles. After this show, off record, I'll show you something in my phone. Should we discuss about one opposition person? I'll show you. It's in a group. So when I speak about some of these things, spaces
are you saying we have a state that have apparatus, state apparatus that are used willy-nilly by individual political players to inflict harm on each other?
It's not even the state apparatus sometimes that does that. Sometimes vanhu vatori opposition macho vamwe vamunoramba ndakataura kudhara there are people who are trained to do these things, and I'm still told that I lied the Mohlahle Commission. There's a lot that happens beyond the political curtains. But because as ordinary civilians we do not want to believe that these things happen in opposition. We do not want to believe that there's a lot of dirty things that happen in opposition. Anyone who tries to speak about the reality of these things is then called an enemy. There's a lot that also happens. Those who felt jilted in 2017. Vanonzi vakabviswa vakabhutsurwa vakadii vanewo zvinhu zvavo zvavanoita vachibatsiranawo neopposition and all that. There's a lot of foreplay that is happening in this country. So I know at the end of the day, I've taken a position and said, I no longer want to comment on these abduction things, on this one. The other time, kuno muna karowa. Arove vamadhiri ave rufaro marketing. But I put that in the state yamurova. Ndakatomboenda pachito notaro nyaya dzerufaro marketing dzane ine state and anyway, let me mind my own business. But if we want to be sincere with each other, we need to give Zimbabwe a chance to move forward. We need to stop with the petty politicking. We have done politicking for a very long time in this country. Takaita normative leverage kakawandisa, vamwe vakasvika pakunokwadzana nekuurayana, kwese ku-opposition nekuzanu kwacho. I think we need to do justice to ourselves. Let's put the interests of Zimbabweans first. Let's solve the underlying factors that are affecting every Zimbabwean in this country. Zvimwe zvacho zvatiri kuita hazvisi kana kumbobenefita the ordinary Zimbabweans. The ordinary Zimbabwean ndianenge achikuagitator zvazodai to what end? We have had perennial water shortages in this country for over 15 years now. No one wants to push for water to be available, yet water is a constitutional right. Tinema hospitals are dilapidated. We will not spend time saying how do we mobilize hospitals to benefit people. But today agenda set should come to an end. This is my plea to all my brothers and sisters in opposition, in ZANU PF. We need to get to a stage where we can work together collectively as Zimbabweans and stop all these shenanigans. Yes, wakandishibisa, it's fine. Wakashibisa ZANU, wakashibisa ani, but tinosvika rini tichiita politics dzekushibisana. Is it benefiting the one anomira pasi pezuva, achipiswa nezuva, which I want something better for me and future generations to come? It's not. Politics is the mono blessed, it's not wadza. Vanhu vanourayirana kwenda unopiwa chi4x4 kuparliamentu. Vanhu vanoitirana zvakawanda kusvibisana pamberi pefesi yapolitical leader. We need to stop that. It's not benefiting anyone in this country. There are a lot of shenanigans that happen. Sadly, a lot of people don't want this to be spoken about. They want izano chete inoita. But kada kuzunopinda mune zvakaitika mu-opposition macho since 2000 to date, vanhu vanochema. We need to just change. We need a new man in this country. We need a paradigm shift of mindset. People just have to change the way they're doing politics in this country. Politics should serve the people who vote. We can't continue suffering when we've got vast mineral resources in this country. But on at that level. But for social media, they're enemies. I'm telling you what I know. Like the whole world thinks in Nachamsa, tell them, but what tell them. The whole world thinks Chamisa does not speak to Mnangagwa, but don't tell them. That's the reality.
But you just blocked each other on Twitter, didn't you?
I got to block her, but put her name.
By force?
Why
would you get to a point where you have to block each other on social media if you are these amazing friends that you talk to each other about?
Chokwadi zvekuti hatidi kuudzana chokwadi. Zvese zvandakamunyorera zvakaita kuti andibloke ndakamuudza personally 1v1. But sometimes kamunasi kuterera muudze pane vanhu vanogona kuinesa kuti this is true. And what I wrote on that day, I'm not the first person to say that. Hopewell said it, Trevor Ngube said it. But kana uri munhu asingade kutora advice, wongoti everyone ari kukuudza the same weakness about yourself. Are you wrong? Are you against me? Then there's a problem. We have to mold you in whatever way that we can mold you.
Who is molding you, Madam Linda Masari?
Why do you want to know my mentors?
You are molding others in public, so we should also know, don't we? And you are the president.
I've got my own mentors. They're mine. They're not for public consumption. But at least I listen to my mentors.
You want to be Chamisa's mentor in public, but you don't want to tell us your mentors in
public. No, Isha. You have problems. You love your Chamisa so much, and you think that you should not be touched. In India, criticize by Twitter one. People always criticize what I do. So what I've never heard you saying, why are you criticizing Linda in public? There are a lot of people who criticize on the honorable Molakele Wanani. I've never seen you going there and saying, why are you criticizing Linda in public? Why is it an issue when Chamisa is criticized? It is always criticized in public. I've never heard you saying, why are people criticizing it in public? We always criticize Wamunangagwa in public. Why don't you say, why are you people criticizing Wamunangagwa in public? What is so special about this Chamisa Chagunzanza criticized in public? Answer me. Everyone is criticized. Every politician is criticized. What is so special in courts about Chamisa Chagunzanza criticized?
Nobody said he's not special.
But you've asked this question more than 5 times.
No.
You've asked it more than 5 times. You come out strongly about Chamisa. No. You criticize Chamisa in public.
You are on an interview, Madam Linda Masarida, and you must answer questions.
I've answered you, but you keep asking the same question because you've got this soft spot for Chamisa. You are blessed kana Chamisa ka criticize one.
Madam Masarida, you said you are friends. I have to challenge that with facts. You said you want facts. You were blocked. How are you friends? And you say I shouldn't ask you. I
can also tell you.
I should let you make bold. I should let you make bold assertions on national television and let you go unchallenged because people think I have a soft spot on someone. No, this is an interview, Madam Masarida. You will answer questions.
And yes, I'll answer it. I'll tell you right now. Tonight I blocked him, but but I blocked him on Twitter because I started singing.
So you guys, you came here and say we are the problem because we want to make it appear as if you guys are enemies. Yet you are blocking each other on a public space. So you are the problem, aren't you?
That's why I said what I was saying. Time you're saying, we need to stop the politicking. I said,
why are you politicking, Madam Linda Masai?
In the political space,
so you have just copied.
Yes, but now that I think in retrospect, it has not served anyone's interest. That is exactly what I was saying a few minutes ago. We need to stop all this politicking and start putting the interests of Zimbabweans first. I've said that, I think, in nearly 5 minutes. Going back there, Takutongo is retrogressive. I've spoken about this, that we need to stop the politicking. We have done it enough. It has not saved anyone's interests.
When are you going to stop the politicking yourself, Madam Masai?
And in the Katopedza, the order is also politicking. Observe for the past week or so, I've been on issues. I'm now focusing on issues that are affecting ordinary people. But the government says people are busy politicking. Minda, Zimba. A lot of things are happening. It's not benefiting anyone.
You recently joined NERA. Let us talk about it. Let's talk about NERA. What is it? What is it going to do?
National Electoral Reforms Agenda. We're going to push for electoral reforms. We have already started the journey with other political parties.
In your view, do you see it being successful?
It will be successful this time around. We have started early enough. We've got time on our side. We will also have time to engage with the ordinary Zimbabwean, who we believe is a critical stakeholder who has been ignored all along.
Do you have the support of the people? Do you have the numbers on your side?
We're going to engage. When you engage, I don't want to find blessed. Munotoenda munotaura navo vokunzwisisai kuti muri kuita nezvenyi, vakunzwisisai voita sei, voita plug into the agenda. I don't think that there's anyone who doesn't want electoral reforms in this country. It's not about personalities. It's about what is best for the voter, for the political party, for the candidates. And I believe that voters are critical stakeholders in this electoral reform agenda, not even the political parties or the candidates, because the voter has always been at the losing side. They are no loser for every election. It's not even the political party or the political party candidates themselves. It's the voter. The voter is the one who's actually supposed to be at the forefront of electoral reforms, and not us political party leaders.
I mean, but most of the leaders that you've joined in NERA don't have a single parliamentary council representation. And ZANU-PF right now is a 2/3 majority in parliament. Do you see them softening and relinquishing power to allow you to have the reforms that can potentially remove them from power?
Having a parliamentary seat or a council seat does not take away one's right to demand electoral reforms. As long as everyone is a registered voter who casts their vote, they've got a right to speak out about electoral reforms. The moment we want to put a scale on who's capable or who must, we're already losing the electoral reforms fight. If those who are perceived to be the ones who are supposed to fight for electoral reforms, why haven't they been fighting for them? What we're just doing here is to try to give an opportunity to the voter themselves to be able to be at the forefront of electoral reforms, because they're the ones that are always shortchanged. And we want them to be at the forefront. We are going to go down on the ground and speak to them and make them understand why it is important. It is shocking that a lot of people do not even know that they even have rights beyond just casting a vote. And this is the knowledge that we want to go and give the people of this country, that you also have a right to go and even contest some decisions. Unless we start being sincere about making people understand the electoral processes.
The question people out there have been talking about, I mean, the people that you purport or you say that you want to represent in this NERA aspect, is that I've heard comments like, if you put nothing on nothing, you get nothing. And the people in the political leaders in that NERA are people who have failed to canvass support around their ideas, and therefore they will not be able to achieve anything. How would you push back to that?
I said the electoral reform agenda is everyone's responsibility. It's not about how many people you have supporting you. You are always blessed. What you in the constitutional court in electoral reform agenda, and you can get it.
But just
so, I think there's also a misconception from the people. Wanofunga kuti NERA is a coalition. That they may elections or what? It's not. It's a dialogue platform with an agenda for electoral reforms. It's not a coalition. It's not an alliance. It is a memorandum of understanding that we need electoral reforms as soon as yesterday.
Yeah, but you didn't answer because, like you said in your opening remarks when you were talking about the constitution going to the court, the constitutional court, then and parliament, and then you said you eventually go back to the people. And if you don't have the support of the people, why?
Who told you that we do not have support?
The election results show.
There are 2.5 million people who did not vote. Blessed.
Of those who voted, none of them voted for you.
Yes. And wait, I was not on the ballot, so don't talk about me.
You had candidates that were there who had 0 votes for the lead party. You did? Yes?
2023, all my candidates don't go through because they can't get an account number. So which candidates are you talking about?
You didn't have candidates?
Lead did not have candidates in 2023.
You did have candidates on the by-elections. They had 0?
In 2019?
Yes. Including
there
yourself?
Was a low voter turnout. There was a low voter. We can't talk about 2019 now. Can we talk about the electoral reform agenda that we're speaking about? You see, the problem is you want to conflate issues, blessed. The issue to do with electoral reforms has got nothing to do with you voting for me or you not voting for me. Everyone wants electoral reforms. Apana singade jaganaka. Munhu wese ari kutoda kuti vote rake rikaunte. And the electoral reforms that we seek are going to make our political playing ground fair. So any sane person, including the 2.5 million apathetic people, they did not vote because of electoral reforms. They found no reason to go and cast their vote. So if we've got 2.5 million people who did not vote, don't they also need a voice? We've got Wilbert Mudaiwa. He was on the ballot paper. He's also part of NERA. He had over 50,000 votes and was number 3. Is he not also supposed to protect the people who voted for him? So let's stop talking about people, this, people, that. Electoral reforms. Even everyone wants electoral reforms in this country, but there's no one who's been pushing for those reforms. The least people can do is to say thank you to those who have said, let's push for this collectively. We are not pushing as lead. That's why person started to lead. We are not pushing as MDC or this party or whatever. We are pushing as an agenda, as an era. So
reading through people's comments, they appear to say that you are looking to look for relevance by going through the back door and using NERA that was founded and started by Morgan.
That's his opinion and he's entitled to it. They are not the freedom of expression and opinions.
But is there truth in it?
There's no truth at all. We are pushing for reforms. We just want a fair electoral playing field for everyone.
In pushing for these reforms, you are acknowledging that the elections that were held in 2023 were not free and fair.
I don't know. I did not participate in them, so I will not comment on them. I did not vote, number one. I was not a candidate. So why should I comment about an election that I was not?
So why are you pushing for reforms in a system that you don't even know?
I know the system.
So was it free and fair?
But I will not comment because I did not vote. I did not participate in any process in this particular election. If it was the 2018 election that I participated in, where I knew what was happening all over Zimbabwe, I would comment. What I do not like is to just cast aspersions on something that I did not experience. That's not me, and that's not how I operate. I'm pushing for these reforms because there are lessons that I learned in 2018. There are lessons I learned in the pre-electoral period in 2023. For example, the issue to do with the flawed delimitation report. That's also another thing for that is up for reforms. So I will speak about things that I participated in, things that I know that they need reform.
So with the flawed delimitation report, you can't say that the election was free or fair because you didn't vote and you're not on the ballot.
The mere fact that the delimitation report was flawed, there's no fairness in the election. The mere fact that the women who participated in that election were less than 50%, there was no fairness, and it was unconstitutional and it was undemocratic. I said it when we started this interview. Because from my perspective, there's no democracy without women. The moment kusina vakadzi, election isingabudisa 50-50, kwandiri ragara risi fair, risi credible, and that's it. And that's how I view things.
At least you have finally answered the question. But as we close, Madam Linda Masarira, do you think that in Zimbabwe, the people of Zimbabwe can move out of this populism that you're talking about, these personalities, and begin to focus on the issues?
It will take a long time. It will take a long time because ndozvavakasirwa navamugabe. Vamugabe ndovaita zvepopulism izvozvo. Kauya vatsvangirai vakazviita. Kauya vamunangagwa vachamisa vari kuzviita. Saka it's up to the people that do they now want a better Zimbabwe where they focus on issues that are affecting them and not only individuals. Because individuals will not get us anywhere. I believe in strong institutions. I believe that leaders should come from institutions, and that what should be popular is an institution and not a personality. When a personality becomes popular, we will always have problems of demigodism, cultism, and dictatorship.
Do you think, Madam Linda Masarira, you have what it takes to lead the people of Zimbabwe out of this quagmire that they face?
Yes, I do. If I didn't, I don't think I would be occupying the space that I'm occupying right now. If I didn't, I don't think I would have made the effort to converge with like-minded people and form a political party. If I didn't, I don't think I would have the recognition that I've gotten in other African countries of being even a phenomenal African woman at some time and getting those awards. There's something that is within me, maybe that still has to grow, and it is work in progress.
Amazing. Just in conclusion, Madam Linda Masarira, maybe you could look to the people of Zimbabwe and tell them what you would be offering them, you know, what they should expect from you as a potential president of this country and leader.
I think what is important is for us to start converging as Zimbabweans without looking at where I'm coming from, which province I'm coming from, what tribe I'm coming from, which political affiliation I'm affiliated to. I think these are the things that have divided us as Zimbabwean people. What is important for every Zimbabwean, and not only me, is for us to be able to unite as a nation and have one common vision on the Zimbabwe that we all want. We might have different ideologies or perceptions on how to get there, but we need to get there at some point. All the skullduggery, tomfoolery, and fighting that we've been doing has not served any interest of the ordinary Zimbabwean. For me, I promise that I will continue fighting for workers' rights. I will continue fighting for pensioners. These people deserve dignity, whether state workers, public workers, the private sector, the mining workers, etc., etc. They deserve dignity. They deserve proper salaries. Pensioners deserve to have proper social security. I'll keep on fighting for social issues and to ensure that we have a Zimbabwe where everyone is comfortable to live in, where every citizen lives free from fear or want. We deserve that Zimbabwe. And that Zimbabwe can only be made possible by us saying we need to put the interest of Zimbabwe first before political leaders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Madam Linda Masarira, the leader of the People Party lead. And we were having a conversation of the politics of Zimbabwe, the economy, and the people. Now, this is your show. This is the free talk, where free conversation, where people are free to express themselves regardless of creed, race, sex, or origin. This is Heart and Soul TV and radio in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. And I'm your host as usual, Dhara B. Until next time, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dhara.
Madam Linda Masarira.